Hey, what's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of the This Week of Flyers Hockey. I'm your host, James Scorza, with you. With me, as always, is my group of companions on a very busy holiday break, and the Flyers were back after a good holiday break. But join us, as always, Joey Marks and Austin Hammel, like they always do on every Monday. Gentlemen, happy holidays to you, and hopefully everyone had a good, safe holiday. Well, we have to talk about one thing in particular that's been the elephant in the room the last couple games or so. But hopefully you guys had a good holiday to start off. Hopefully to end the year off right. Excuse me.
Yeah, happy holidays to everyone. Keep safe, especially with freezing rain and whatnot. Got caught kind of in the ice storm and kind of snowed in at a friend's house. But other than that, enjoyed a lot of holiday movies. Got spent a lot of quality time with the family. Looking forward to the new year and bigger things to come.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
feeling good. Wasn't an awful week for Flyers hockey. Take a 2-1 record, but that Seattle game was pretty rough. And we'll definitely be discussing that sooner rather than later on the show today. But likewise, like Joe said, I hope everyone out there had a fun and safe holiday, and especially with the weather that's been rolling in, make sure you're continuing to stay safe going into the new year as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's get into it, shall we? So the Flyers, like Joey and also Austin said over the week, I got a couple wins out of it. A little bit of a clunker last night against Seattle, but it's all good though. But the Flyers, on the other hand, got a good couple of wins during the week before the holiday break. They had a back-to-back with Vancouver and also Chicago, and they looked very good for the most part. I thought they played very well. It was a good full 60 minutes in that Vancouver game, and also springboarding into the next night against Chicago. So Joey and Austin, I'll ask you the first question here. Take me through those take me through those games. Like what impressed you the most, especially like with these two games before the holiday break to actually get to where they are right now. I mean, so Joey, I'll ask you this. What's the one standout? Who's like the standout to you this week with this style play that the Flyers had with Vancouver and Chicago? Like, who stood out to you this week?
Well, I mean, there were a couple people, and it almost feels like I said it last episode. I'm waiting. We've seen the guys like Tyson Forrester go on the injury reserve, but we've seen him before he went on IR. What he was able to do as like a guy that was a 3 or 4 line guy.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby Brink, Noah Cates. We've talked about these guys, constantly, and I've said it before we left last week's show that I know now what we have in the bottom lines, but I need to now see like the primary guys, the primary players really start to kind of plant their flag and start to kind of pitch forward and carry a little bit more of the weight on this team. It's great. Eight players with 8 goals or more on this team. That's one of the tops in the NHL. That means that there's depth, but that there is a lot of shared talent along this team. During that back-to-back game, I saw a lot of Owen Tippett, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
Travis Konechny, a lot of guys that I wanted to see more of get involved, and it proved to me that I'm like, okay, these guys got it still. They're still here. They're still, the primary or one of the primary top players on this team. And, when I saw them succeed in those first two games, I was like, man, it was almost like we knew what we were talking about. Like we know that these guys, that this team, that those players, particularly Konechny, Zegras, and Tippett, and Mitch Koplik, we know that they're all good and talented players. But seeing it on a consistent basis, and not that we're knocking not seeing the guys at the lower lines succeed. That's great to see. But like seeing your top line guys succeed, that makes you feel like, wow, this team is really balanced and really driven and really deep. And having 8 players with 8 or more goals in this season and still growing, it's to me, that's got positive vibes going forward for 2026.
Yeah, absolutely. Austin, who stood out to you this week with this Flyers team? Like in this last couple before the holiday break, who would stood out to you in your opinion? And what?
For me, it's been Nikita Grabankin this past week. He played really, really well the entire, especially in the Canucks game more specifically. He seemed to make himself really known throughout that entire game and was helping keep a lot of that offensive pressure up for Philadelphia in that game. And even though the next two games he didn't see himself on the score sheet, he still played some really good hockey this past week. And I'm looking forward to him and Grunstrom on a line together has been incredible. And the way that the two of them are playing together has been really fun to watch. So I'm looking forward to seeing them get some more ice time together in the coming weeks.
For sure. I gotta go. I think I'm in the same boat as you are, Austin. I actually am a big fan of Grunstrom.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's been playing very well. Obviously, like I probably go back to my research when we first saw him. I saw him with the years with the Kings, and he wasn't like a big star like Kopitar or even like a player like a Doughty, like some kind of material like that though. But like he's a good checking line, third line, or fourth liner. I think Grabankin's been playing very well in the absences of Tyson Forster. I think you're right about that too. And for me, I think the one thing that's been the positive, this standout performance all week is that the goaltending has once again become a real positive to this team. I thought they played well on Tuesday against. They played very well on Tuesday. Or they played well. Actually, no. I'm sorry. Wait. Monday and Tuesday. That's right. They played Monday and Tuesday. That's right. I keep on thinking that's when
Monday, Tuesday.
Oh, okay. So, So I think the other thing too that really springboard this streak that they're on right now is that it's basically like once they lose games, like a clunker like they have last night, like they bounce back like right away, and a very good positive about that too. And I got to say right now with this Flyers team, that's been I've been really excited to see is like players like Grunstrom and see like Grabankin and even like Owen Tippett and even see players that are coming out now to like become once it's a kind of like next man up mentality for this Flyers team. And I gotta say right now, ever since Forster went down, they have actually became. I mean, I think they'll be better when Forster comes back. But now I feel like the positive is like other players are stepping up in his absence, and I think that's even more that I like to see right now more than anything too here. As we got a comment here, I think it's Daniel that joins us right now. It says happy Monday. Thanks for chiming in, man. Appreciate it. The other thing that I was really happy to see too is that they don't usually win in Chicago. Like I feels like it's been a long time coming since they played a good game in Chicago. Obviously, Chicago's not the same team that they once were. Obviously, there's no Canes, there's no Jonathan Tazes or Dustin Buffwitz, Christopher Stieg, and so on and so forth. But I was really happy to see that they are playing to the capability that we wanted to see out of this team so far. And that Vancouver game was really intriguing to see how many good chances they got. And also, like, the second period now is becoming now a positive now for this team too, because you think of the second period, that's kind of like they flaw a little bit. But I think right now, more than anything, standing right close to the Hurricanes in that conference is like a real positive going forward. And I think it's going to be more that the Flyers will do like going forward here. And I think that's even more a bonus here if the Flyers could do whatever they can to, I mean, obviously there won't be the number 1 or 2 seed, but when you're in that conference, that's the 4 or 5th seed, and you get you're basically like home for the post, like you like have like a first round to the playoffs. Like if you're that number 4 seed, it's obviously going to have games 1 and 2 here in Philly, and it's going to be even more of a mindset too here. And I got to give kudos to Sam Ersson too. I thought he played very well this week too. I thought he was very good. Dan Vladar has been spectacular as a lately. I think he's been nothing short of fantastic ever since he came here. And I think that's going to show what the Flyers will look like this week. I think it's going to be like this Western road trip. I think they got a good chance to get some W's in this, especially teams like Vancouver and Calgary that are on the outside looking in.
Yeah, here's the thing about the clunker in Seattle. and we can sit
Yeah,
here
it
and look at
happens,
the
you know?
score. We can look at that, and we can look at the scoreboard, and we could be like, "Wow, they really just didn't show up." And
Mhm.
I don't see that as to be true. Like when you watch the game, when you actually watch the game, and you saw on the power play how many chances, good, not just like okay chances, like get through the puck at the net, and it was like, oh, wishing a prayer.
Mhm.
It was like they had the Flyers have really good chances against that goaltender for the Kraken. And
Yeah.
look, I'll say this: that guy stood on his head. Like that
He did.
game might not look close, but this Flyers team for 2.5 periods, because it felt like towards the end of the third period that the sea legs started to kick in, that travel kind of started to catch up to them.
Mhm.
Traveling across country kind of caught up to them. So, for me, it's, I saw the effort that this team put out, even in a clunker. And I'm with you, James. Like, I've seen these clunkers happen this season. And last season, it felt like these clunkers would snowball. And
Sure.
it would be one clunker after the next clunker after the next clunker. And when me and you were doing the post game shows, we're like,
Mhm.
really, we really have to talk about the same thing. It's like Groundhog Day all over
Yeah,
again.
yeah, it's
Just
like
just play the pre-recorded or play the last episode of this post game and just change the name of this team
the
with this
opponent.
team.
That changed the
Yeah,
opponent. Yeah, yeah, it's like
and it's
same old
basic,
shit, different night. Yeah, exactly.
basically the same thing.
Right.
But now with this season, it feels different. It feels like when they have those clunkers, even despite the effort, I'm sure Tocchet went in there and like, look, we lost. That's a bad score. We left a lot of stuff on the ice. Understood. But you guys gave a lot of hard effort. You guys really worked hard. You guys should be at least happy and satisfied with that. I get there's no, effort wins in the National Hockey League, but when you're a team trying to rebuild, when you're
Mhm.
a young team trying to gain momentum, and James, they were sitting in the second seed at one point in time,
Yeah.
right underneath Carolina earlier in this week. And the first thing that comes to my mind is we took Carolina to the brink both times, the
Twice.
last two times we met.
Mhm.
This is not a division that we're just going to let go of. The Hurricanes are going to see a lot of us. They are going to see our names hovering around their name a lot this season. So they
Yeah.
better understand that if they start to slip, we're going to be there to capitalize. And another thing to keep in mind, and JJ keeps pointing this out in the last couple of telecasts,
Mhm.
we might be second or third or whatnot in the Metro,
Oh
but
yeah.
we have less games played than some of the teams above us,
Yeah.
which means we have games that we can still gain points to get to that top seed. So I'm not taking anything for granted from this team this season because they have surprised me, not by just the goaltending, not just by the power play success, but overall, not just by the roster depth, but by all of it combined. This team is coming together and in such a way where if I'm Danny Briere and Keith Jones, I'm going, well, this was ahead of schedule.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, especially like you said, you look at the standings, it's a 4-point difference between us and Carolina. Both of us, the Flyers and the Hurricanes have only played 37 games, where the rest, the other, one, two, three, four teams between us in the Eastern Conference overall all have played 40 for Detroit, 38 for both Tampa and Montreal, 39 for the Islanders. Games in hand are going to matter.
Yeah.
And not only that, but you look at the Eastern Conference, we have fourth best goal differential in the conference at a +6, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Like the Avalanche
crazy.
right now, their goal differential is a +63.
Wow.
So like, just put them on the outside of this conversation because they're locked. They're locked. There's no stopping them right now. Like Joe said, even going back to the beginning of the year, every time that we've played Carolina, it has been an absolute nail biter.
It has.
the second that Philadelphia, you can just tell now, it's becoming more and more evident every single game that they play that if they get a chance to get into the playoffs, they will make noise.
Oh yeah.
They are a team that is refusing to lay down and die. They are putting every single ounce of everything they have into every game that they play. And like you were saying, Joe, the game against Seattle, Grubauer was just too good. We could not solve him. That man was incredible. The start of the Vancouver game, we could not solve Thatcher Demko. And then we got the one, and then it opened up in the second period.
Yep.
Like it's all it takes is us finding a way past you. And then everything else becomes easier. Sometimes it just takes longer because the caliber of goaltender is good. Philip Grubauer is an incredible goalie. He has had some really, really good games. I personally think this is the best performance that I've seen from Philip Grubauer in a long time.
Probably going back to Colorado days, probably.
Yeah, like more than likely, tail end of Colorado time. But like he's an incredible goalie. It was just hard for Philadelphia to solve him, but it very easily could have been that goal the one goal that we got could have opened everything, and we could have just started swarming in the tail end of that game. But again, Grubauer just stood really strong in net, so could have easily looked at an undefeated week going into coming into New Year. Like very, very easily could have. And that just, I say this every single week, it shows the capability and the tenacity that this team has to keep themselves in every game, even though like you guys were saying, you look at that scoreboard and it looks totally different.
It does.
It's weird because I feel like the Flyers themselves, in certain ways, like the players, the coaches, everybody, they haven't gotten the memo. Like everybody in the league's like, wait a minute, you guys aren't supposed to be this. Like you're not supposed to have a great goaltender. You got this guy from Calgary. Like it's not like you guys traded for Patrick Waugh. Like you guys didn't do that. But this guy is having a career year, and you got him for like basically nothing. You brought up Grabenkin, you brought up Grunderson. Like these are guys that we're picking up that are not superstars on the teams they were on, but they're coming here and they're saying, "Well, damn it, you're saying I could do anything? I believe you. I buy into it." The Flyers players have not gotten the memo yet from the rest of the NHL saying, wait a minute, you guys aren't supposed to be this good. And I got one thing to say about the Colorado Avalanche to what Austin's point is. Yes, they can't be touched. But I will say this, and I know we're not even close to the playoffs, but I will say this. If you remember a couple years ago, Boston Bruins had the best winning record in the National Hockey League. They set a record. And what happened? They got stomped. They got annihilated.
They got stomped, man.
By an 8th seed.
Yep.
So understand something. You guys can be stellar, be great. The regular season is the regular season. But this Flyers team is building momentum in this regular season for hopefully being able to put a good run, a great run together in the tournament. And look, I honestly think there's going to be 2 things we have to worry about. Rest and rust. Because we saw a little rust. We saw a little rust through rest with this little Christmas break. Okay? We could say that kind of existed with the Seattle.
Yeah, I believe that.
Not a lot, but a little. But then I said this and I mentioned this earlier. We're going to have that Olympic break. That's going to be, after that Olympic break, is really going to be the litmus test of whether or not this team can rebuild the momentum that they have built up the first half or 2/3 of the season leading into that Olympic break. That's why it's so important for the Flyers to come together now, to build that momentum, to steal those points, to make sure that you put yourself in a position where all of a sudden the league's like, wait a minute, they're not supposed to be this good.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I mean, the thing that sticks out to me the most with this team, and I think you guys both nailed it on the head here, Carolina and Philadelphia, believe it or not, if these two are playing the postseason, this could be like conference final. Like, this could
That's
be
dogfight. That's a dogfight.
That's like a
Mhm.
golf fight. You know what I'm saying?
That is one of the hardest played 7-game series that I will
Yep.
watch this year. If that's the
Oh
matchup.
yeah, either that
Because
or Washington.
holy,
Yeah, I mean,
honestly, I just feel like the Carolina matchup would personally, for me as a hockey fan, seeing how the Flyers have played them already this year.
yeah.
If I get that is hockey heaven.
Oh yeah,
Because
absolutely.
they both teams are just grind out teams, and the way they play is actually pretty similar. So it's tough to be able to break either side.
And they're really evenly matched too, man.
Yeah, and especially in a playoff format where it's still continuous overtime, I believe.
Yeah,
Yes.
man. Oh yeah.
You could end up with every single game being minimum 1 overtime.
Oh my god, yeah.
That would be sick.
Yeah,
That would be
that'd be
so sick.
We got to make that happen, man. We got to make that shit happen. You know?
Just a grind out minimum double overtime game 7, like
For the go to the Cup final.
to
Dude,
just
that
move
would
move on in general would be absolutely insane hockey.
Oh, man.
That's where both teams. That's where you talk about like the heavyweight bout, like
Yep.
'cause it's going to be about
yeah.
by time you get to game 6 or 7 and you get to that overtime, you're like, it's like two heavyweights just lunging at each other in the 15th round. Like that's what it's going to feel.
Dude, I can imagine. I mean, you know what's funny too? That series could be it could be one of the best, probably all-time NHL series between the Flyers and Carolina. I think for me too, that I see them do well with Carolina. I mean, those 2 overtime games that they played in that shootout, it's like they could have easily said, okay, we're in Carolina. I mean, Carolina's coming here, or we're in Carolina. And they basically said, there's nothing we can do to stop them. I mean, they have a great team. And they took 2 games into the shootout, thinking like, maybe they will be good with, maybe they can compete with Carolina.
They don't play up or down to their.
They don't take no BS, man. They don't take no BS.
Is they could play down to like the weaker competition.
Oh yeah.
And you choose not to. I mean, Buffalo, okay, that was an aberration.
Yeah.
But my feeling is when you look at Montreal and when they went to the Bell Center twice this season and have beaten them, when they have beaten teams like the Panthers, when they have beaten the Carolina Panthers to Carolina Hurricane to like the brink, like these are things that we're going to look back at on this season and go, these were the difference-making moments. And as we start to kind of go into 2026, and we're going to talk soon about the upcoming games, it's going to still be about building that momentum, to not playing down to inferior talent, but also not playing down like you don't belong to the talent that is good, like a Colorado or a Carolina or anything to that effect, like to a Vegas Golden Knights. Like you got to make sure that if you're going to play, like Austin planted his flag for the Flyers about a month or so ago. I planted my flag for the Flyers about 3 weeks ago. I will say this: if the Flyers want to sustain their flag being planted on the mountain of the NHL playoffs this year, they will need to take care of business against any opponent that sees fit to stand across the ice from them and say, you will say give.
Yeah, and I think and that's the thing, because you think about it too. I mean, obviously we didn't play teams like Washington yet, or the Bruins yet, and I gotta say right now, I mean, if you can compete with Carolinas and Florida and like a team like a juggernaut team like Carolina, like you're gonna win a lot of games. I think that's the most important thing, because I mean, I'm really looking forward. I mean, I'm just thinking about it right now because I told this to my dad about this a couple of days ago when after that Chicago game. I'm saying I'm actually feeling like that postseason orange crush is coming back to Philadelphia. Like that seats are like all like leveled. There's like seats that are in orange. Like the only thing you can just see is like a pile of orange T-shirts in this crowd. And I said to myself, that's the one thing that's been missing with this for so long, and it's hard to believe it's been a long time coming since we've seen that. But I think the other thing too here is that I think if the Flyers go make a postseason push, it's kind of like how it was with the Phillies in 2022 when Red October came in, and just like that switch was turned on just like that, like just like a split second. Like Red October was back in that Game 3 game when Rhys Hoskins smacked it when he had that home run, and the place just went bonkers. I mean, it's going to be, in the words of Scott Franzke, Bellum at the bank or electric at. I'm trying to think of a name that will be called something like Bellum at the bank. I guess I would say like it's going to be electric at the X or something that in that saying that someone in a familiar foe like that. But I just can't wait for the postseason, man. I mean, I know we're still in the regular season, but I can dream one day that the Flyers hopefully one day will go back to the postseason, and it's going to be a real fun to see what they'll look like come playoff time. No question about it.
Yeah, I mean, the way they've been playing throughout the season so far has not been giving me any cause for concern.
Mm-hmm.
I've been enjoying the product that's been put out. They have a winning record. They're, like I said, 4 points from top of the conference.
Yeah.
Even though it's still technically early in the season, there's no obvious sign that I have seen from the way this team has played that tells me that they are not in it.
Right.
Not only game to game, but in terms of the standings. Like there's been nothing showing me that this team has already given up and is willing to just lay down and die.
Right.
And they're putting forth this effort every single night. And it's been incredible to watch. And like Joe said, you have to build the momentum. Keep going every single night. Even if you're losing, you're not losing. It's not ugly losses. Like we said, Grubauer stood on his head. He made 31 saves on 32 shots last night.
Mm-hmm.
Like the man played incredible. You have to give him credit. He beat us. Like we couldn't beat him, and we lost that game. Even the Dallas game, I had said there was a very strong possibility that game could have went the other way. Same thing with the Colorado game. Like we just couldn't completely solve their goaltenders, and we wound up losing those games. It happens.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have goalies play really well against you. You're going to have teams play really well against you. You just basically have to not give up and let the score get really out of hand.
Absolutely.
And granted, you lose to Dallas 5-1. It's an ugly loss, but Dallas played incredible hockey against you. You still had really solid opportunities. You just didn't see the back of the net that often.
Right.
The Colorado game, you lost by 1.
Sure.
You lost 3-2 to Colorado. Like,
that's incredible.
None of these losses are anything that could have been morale killers or momentum killers.
Right.
Because there's so many positives that you're still able to take from those losses that you come to the next game equally, if not more confident than you were going into the previous.
Mm-hmm.
And they've just been carrying that. And you want to see that continue not only going into 2026, but coming out of the break that you have coming up.
Right.
Like it's going to be valuable time for the guys that aren't participating in the Olympics to be getting consistent work and practice in. Like you still need to put the work in for like everything to show on the ice. You have to be willing to put the extra work in, do everything that you're supposed to do. And I've been saying it for a while, keep the fundamentals part of your main progress, because
Absolutely.
if you lose that, you lose the whole thing. If you can still play fundamental hockey, you're never out of a game. And that's what they've been doing. And the finesse that you see from Michkov trying a Michigan against Vancouver was crazy to me. Like that he has that level of confidence with people crashing the net defensively to go behind the net and be like, I can scoop this. Like it's crazy. Like this team has incredible confidence every single night. And like we've said, you if you just look at the scores, the games that we lose seem bad.
Mm-hmm.
If you're just looking at scores, if you're watching the games, the losses aren't ugly.
They're not.
Yeah.
They're really not.
Yeah. So 2026 is just keep going.
Keeping the main thing. That's all I can say, right?
Just keep pushing.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So we were going to talk about the Flyers and Vancouver series and all that coming up this week, though. But I guess you guys are basically saying the same thing. And I was just going to say, too, is that, like, yeah, sure, that Seattle game was a loss according to books, but the losses they're not bad losses, like I said a few weeks ago. Like, the losses that they had, they're like actually actual something to build on. I think that's the other thing too, is that
it's more that the other team won than it is that we lost.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. It's more like that when you lose a game, like before, like if you're a Flyers fan, you would see them lose, and it would just, like what Joey said early on, that it would snowball into like a real bad, like 6 or 7 losing streak. And then they'll win like 10 games, and then they'll lose like 7 or 8. Now it's just like when they lose a game, they bounce back like right away, like instantly. Like that I can see right now, tomorrow or maybe on Wednesday, like it will become like they'll probably win 1 game in Vancouver and they'll lose 1 game in Calgary. But then again, they can probably win both games, because they did that against Chicago and Vancouver before the holiday break. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe like they'll lose one of those games, and they beat it both of them. So it's like, it's about, I'm not going to say that Vancouver, Vancouver's an okay team. Calgary still trying to figure out what their footing is, but obviously it's not like there's like a Jerome McGinley for Calgary on the other side, or it's the Sedin twins or Marcus Naslin with the Vancouver Canucks. But it's, the thing that surprises me the most with this team is that they bounce back right away, and I think I always say springboard, and I think that's going to springboard into a very good streak. And I think the other thing too is that they're going to continue to have this level of success, even though sometimes, yeah, sure, you will lose a game here and there, but it's actually good. It's good momentum going forward, especially coming in 2026 and trying to get some more wins when it matters the most before that Olympic break happens, and they come back after that ready to make sure that postseason play is something that the Flyers will be definitely doing, hopefully, when the time calls for it, when those games start to count down and postseason play will be officially starting come April. All right,
absolutely.
So let's move on here. So, this is something new here that we have on this pod here today. It's actually something a little fun here that I like to share with you guys. So basically, it's called the Year in Review with the Philadelphia Flyers. As you know, the Philadelphia Flyers are closing out the 2025 New Year in Calgary and Vancouver. Vancouver and Calgary tomorrow and Wednesday. But I actually have I want to play a little game with you guys here. So basically, we're going to go down the list here and say that what was the big storyline that happened in 2025? And I have 3 options for you guys here. So the number 1 is John Tortorella didn't go the way that what the team wanted to go, and then we got Rick here. The second one is basically we kind of talk about how great Trevor Zegras has become a jubilation to this team, and I think he's become a real good asset along with Christian Dvorak here. I think they have become real good positives for Danny Briere and the Flyers as acquisitions, and we cannot say enough about Dan Vladar being the biggest surprise of all this season, especially how much he has been playing well, and also the level of positivity he has become, because obviously the Flyers were looking for a goaltender, and it looks to me that the Flyers probably found somebody in Dan Vladar. So, Austin, Joey, I'll ask you this question. You can probably say all 3 of them were big storylines, but I probably have to narrow it down to 1. So, in your opinion, if you have to pick one of the state of the 2025 Philadelphia Flyers, what would that be? Joey, let's start with you first.
I have to just stake my claim. This is definitely the acquisition of Dan Vladar. You get a goaltender that is, and I said this all last season, like to the point where I felt like hitting my head against the wall.
Mm-hmm.
if you get a certifiable, decent goaltender in this team, it equals, and you learn how to play defense for him.
Mm-hmm.
You not to hang him out to dry, but you learn how to play defense for him. It does a lot. Now, I think Zegras and all the other acquisitions are as valuable, but I think Villard is that headline of all of this. I get Zegras is right there, like 1A, 1B,
Sure,
but
yeah.
like if you don't have a goaltender, you could have a Zegras, you could have all these different players, and it's a 6-5 scores all the time, and you have to play that way because you don't have a goaltender. But when you have a goaltender like him in net, you can win games like 3-1, 2-1, stuff like that. You can go to shootouts and win. You can go to overtimes and steal points. Like this acquisition is so franchise changing. Not just because you get a certifiable goaltender, but now, and JJ said this, and I kind of thought about this the other day. He said that JJ said this in our conversation we had with him in the offseason. He said to me, I asked him, JJ, we lost Carter Hart. Like, do we see any potential of drafting a goaltender or bringing a guy like that in, or is that a possibility, like pre-draft? And his words were, no, Joe, because you don't go and you draft a goaltender to say he's going to be in the system this year. He's going to be in the pipeline this year. If you usually draft a goaltender, you're usually talking about not seeing that guy for 3 or 4 years until they mature. They're not mature enough yet to be in between the pipes at that young of an age in the NHL, unless you're just like a special per player like Hellebuck or whatnot. Like, unless you're a special player, it's different. Now, he said, could I see them going and trading or acquiring a good, like, mid-tier, veteran, talented goaltender that they could have as a stopgap goaltender until they bring that guy, whoever that may be, along? Yes. And that's Dan Villard. That's why I feel like, JJ hit the nail on the head with the idea of what we need, what the franchise needed to do, and, how they went about doing their business. JJ said in our thing, he said, Keith Jones doesn't talk to me anymore. Well, Keith Jones might not be talking to you, JJ, but he's sure listening to you.
Absolutely. We got a comment here before I get to you, Austin. So Matt checks in and says they don't do pass when they get near the net and they get the puck out of the zone, but they need to practice to get it in the zone and pass and shoot and not pushing the puck out of the zone. So
they have to work on keeping.
They got to work
zone.
on it though,
The offensive trap zone they have to worry about, because if you dump and chase, you always risk the idea of not being able to retrieve the puck off the forecheck. Now, the problem is that when you tend to carry in the puck, you have to do one of two things. Your wingers have to be fast and being able to squeeze through some of the holes that defensive players leave, or you have to have a big body to be able to just scare the hell out of the defenseman to not want to go after him.
Right.
And that's the difference. And the Flyers kind of have a little bit of both, but it's not like they have like a Connor McDavid where they can just have a guy dragging in. Trevor Zegras is close. I mean,
he is.
The Flyers, if anything, I can say this. They have been good at transition offense. We talk about it when it comes to basketball, but when in hockey, when there is a turnover and there is a transition offense, the Flyers are really good at succeeding on those type of attempts.
Absolutely. So, Austin, I'll ask you this question before we move on here. Is there any in 2025 that sticks out to you about the big storyline that was the Philadelphia Flyers in 2025?
I mean, for me personally, I mean, of course, Dan Vladar, without a doubt, is more than likely the correct answer here. I do have to say the firing of John Tortorella and the hiring of Rick Tocchet is right up there with it. As much as, like you said, as much as acquiring Trevor Zegras is great and all, without the proper coaching and a good goaltender to back everything up, it's all for nothing. Getting rid of Tortorella, bringing in a new fresh mind with Rick Tocchet, getting a goaltender like Dan Vladar to go with it, and then having guys, that were injured to start the year come off of injury, Rasmus Ristolainen coming back from that injury.
Right.
I've been meaning to say this. Is he faster than he was last year?
He looks it.
Because he was beating a lot of guys to pucks that were coming into the zone, man. He's moving very well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if it was
Tortorella's style of play or something.
Yeah, where he just was playing slow because I don't know, everyone had some sort of thing against Tortorella near the end there, you could tell. But like,
I would say this too.
He was moving pretty fast this week.
You know what's funny? I think it was the first time when we got Ristolainen, and I think it was Joey. I think you told me before a show. He says, "By the way, I saw Ristolainen out on the ice right there. Like, man, you were just like basically like a kid in a candy store to see like how much this grinder how much this big hitter how he was. But yeah, I think he's now fully healthy again. I think he's finally fully healthy to basically be back to the Ristolainen he was with the Sabres. And that was the big storyline I liked about Ristolainen too, is that when we had Carter Hart at the time, this was the one guy that kind of reminded me of a forechecking player like a Pronger was, or a Chemo Timonen, like basically an outside defenseman, like a stay-at-home defenseman rather, but
also still had good hockey sense to be able to move a puck as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And you have that with all of your defensemen now.
Oh yeah,
which is incredible. Yeah. Just seeing, I believe it was the Vancouver game. There were a couple of different times where Cam York and Travis Sanheim were both down low working in the offense. Like, it's incredible to see these guys still be able to play solid defensively and be able to jump forward in an offensive play and know exactly what they're trying to do and do it with pretty solid skill too. Yeah. It's just every single piece for this team seems to be starting to fit. And I felt like the final piece was the goaltender, and locking in Dan Vladar is absolutely the biggest storyline for Philadelphia in 2025. You've been searching for a while for a goaltender that could sustain being a number one goaltender. And granted, it's his first year here, but he's proving so far that if you're betting against him being the number one goaltender in Philadelphia, you are dead wrong.
Right.
And you know what? When you bring up Sanheim and York doing what they're doing, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Sean Podine back in the day. Yeah, Sean Podine used to be a guy who would crash underneath and into the slot when we were in the offensive zone. And he would still be able to play certifiably really solid defense. And that was one of the reasons why Sean Podine was one of the stalwarts on the defensive front for the Philadelphia Flyers. And I got to say, Sanheim's we don't say enough about these defensemen. You brought up Ristolainen. We could say Cam York. We can say Drysdale. We could say Sanheim. There's a lot that needs to be said about some of these defensive players that actually have been playing really, really well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can go down the list here with the Sanheim Cam York thing. It's me. I think it's more like Matt Carle and Chemo Timonen. Obviously, I think it's around that same kind of that same kind of feel. And then I think Ristolainen kind of reminded me of Grossman a little bit. How much of a big stay-at-home defenseman he was too. But for me, if I have to pick one of the year in review, that was like the big storyline that happened with the Flyers this year. Man, I think I'm right there with both of you. I think I'm in the boat with John Tortorella. After he got fired, and Rick Tocchet basically came in and resurrected the team into a team that they are now. The reason why I say that, because I think it's probably because I thought I would see more out of John Tortorella like he was when he was with the Rangers, and I'm guessing now more than anything, I think it was more John Tortorella was probably in over his head a little bit. I guess that's the one thing that really surprised me the most with it. It's like, and the level of the benching he was doing with Couturier and Michkov and all this other stuff included. It's like, okay, you don't do that to your player. That's your captain. And you basically say, okay, you're the captain now, but I'm going to bench your ass. It's kind of like sometimes he was just, dare I say this, but he looked like he was like looking to the camera every time and try to become more the center of attention, like basically like John Gruden was like with that Raiders Hard Knocks series. But the problem is too with John Tortorella that really annoyed me is that like he was supposed to bring a culture to the team that was supposed to be something out of 2004 Tampa Bay Lightning Tortorella. The problem was it seemed like he was being snarky to the media, which is absolutely not the way to go if you're a coach. The second thing that really bothered me the most out of it too is that he basically made the locker room very divided. I think that's the most important thing. I think, and I got to give kudos to Rick Tocchet. I was not a big fan of Rick Tocchet early on, but the way he has done with the media, the way he treats the media like they belong, and also how he treats players and also wants the team to be better. And also, he reminds me of what Laviolette was, what Peter Laviolette was like he wants you to play 110% every single night. And he also wants you to become a better player in the process. Not somebody like Tortorella looks at it and says, okay, that Sean Couturier is playing like shit. I got to bench him because he's not playing to the capability that he had. And it's like you got to talk to – you have to have a player and a coach have a one-on-one with each other to try to say, okay, what are your flaws and how can we fix them? It's kind of like you have to be like a mental health professional to try to fix the problem of your mental health, but at the same time too, you want to try to make sure he copes with that and doesn't have a bad relapse.
I feel like John Tortorella in some ways, and it's apropos because they were both in Philly at the same time.
He was snarky.
I feel like he was a lot like Doc
Rivers. Yeah.
I felt like he was just looking to be the center of attention in the media. I'm going to do these moves, and you're not going to question me because I know better than you do.
It's my way or the highway.
Well, it's like sometimes you can outsmart yourself.
Yeah,
but God forbid someone were to tell him that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing is like even Rick Tocchet, in the short stint that he's been here, he said, look, coaches make mistakes. I'm going to make mistakes. These players make mistakes. Right. But what we do to correct them is the more important facet to how this team progresses forward. So you want to rip me? Go ahead. Rip me. Okay? But I don't need to have the adulation of the media. Mm-hmm. I just need to have the respect of my players. Mm-hmm. And that's what a coach should sound like.
Sure.
Because it shouldn't be pandering.
No.
And that's what it felt like with John Tortorella a lot.
For sure.
It was like, and we played like shit. That's a mic drop. Okay. Like, what else, John? Like, what? Why did you guys play like shit? Well, because we didn't do this and we didn't.
Basically, it's like it's kind of like basically Donovan McNabb would be like, well, we showed our youth today.
Right. And it's
you know what I mean? Same thing.
But it's not giving any detail to what you're learning from your team. And Rick Tocchet at least is learning from this team. I think the team is learning from each other, as well as Rick Tocchet. And look, this is a situation where I think Rick Tocchet is in the right position. We talked about. I love Rob Brindamore. I really wish he were our coach rather than Carolina's because I liked Brendy as a player. But if I have to say so, Rick Tocchet is starting to feel like he's the right fit here, like Rob Brindamore was the right fit in Carolina. So you give this relationship time, I guarantee it's not going to feel like the John Tortorella effect over time. It is going to always feel like the Rick Tocchet effect.
Yeah, and that's the thing, too. I mean, you think about it because the thing with Tortorella, it was kind of like you had a teacher that was like basically like he was acting more of a wise ass that like he wants the best out of you, but at the same time, too, he couldn't stand you. But at the same time, too, I think Tocchet for me is a guy that says, okay, you got to fix this here, X, Y, and Z, but he will teach you how to fix it. You know, he'll try to fix. He'll try to teach you how to become. Like for an example, Michkov having a little bit of problems with talking and all that too. But I think it's not that they're having a beef or anything. They're not having like a real like confrontation. It's more like that.
They're competitors. They're
competitors, and they're trying to fix the problem. They're trying to fix whatever.
High level competitors that are trying to fix this problem the best way they can.
Right.
And sometimes that's going to lead to heated situations in the moment, in the art of the fog of war. Like,
absolutely.
It is going to do that. But the bigger thing is, how did they get past it? Did you see any, like, after that little thing that happened between Takin and Michkov, did you see Michkov go, well, F Takin, I'm not going to try for it?
Yeah.
No, he was right out there again the next day, the next game, the next shift, busting his ass. That's different than someone saying, well, I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah, he didn't pull Antonio Brown and said, screw you guys, I'm going home, you know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, it was go ahead.
I feel like a lot of that with Michkov was more just frustration mounting that he was in a goalless drought.
Yeah.
Like
that's true.
He in the I believe it was the Vancouver game, he got the empty netter to break the 10-goal drought. Yeah.
Yep.
It had been 10 games since he had scored a goal going into Vancouver. Like the man was just frustrated that he couldn't find the back of the net.
Right.
And JJ said this then too, is that Michkov usually isn't on the ice with the empty net. And Tocchet purposely put him on the ice to try to get him in that. It doesn't matter if it's an empty net. Give him that goal. Give him that opportunity to raise his confidence level. Maybe just like you said earlier, Austin, about sometimes if you break through to that goaltender, you open the floodgates. Okay.
Absolutely.
Maybe if Michkov just let me give him an opportunity. It doesn't matter if it's an empty net. Let me just give him an opportunity to get off this goal snide and feel good about himself. Coming out of this game and feeling good about himself. Versus saying, F you, I'm not going to put you on there.
Right. So they basically compromised. That's the right term. I think that's exactly what that's probably the word. The one thing that comes to my mind is that they had, sure, they had a little bit of a disagreement, but it wasn't like, I'm doing it my way and you can go scratch, you know. It's the same. I mean,
if Tocchet really felt like, you know what, you want to yell back at me, I'm just going to bench you. So guess what? There's an empty net. There's an opportunity for you to get off this goalless streak. Screw you. I'm not going to put you on the ice. No, what did Tocchet do? He said, what's best for the team is that Michkov is playing at his best. Right. How do I get this guy to stop being frustrated and targeting that frustration at me? Look, dude, don't yell at me. I'm just telling you the way it is. You can be angry that you don't have a goal in the last 10 games, but don't take it out on my ass.
Yeah, don't shoot me. I'm just a messenger.
I'm just the messenger. And so for him, he's like, you know what? I'm going to end this. There's the empty net. Here, Mitch, go do that.
Go get it.
Go get the puck and go shoot it. And let's be done with this. Let's squash this.
Yeah, and it looks like, and then after that, after that happened, it felt like everything was all good after that.
Yes,
absolutely. All right, so before we get out of here, obviously, I think the other year in review too is that, I mean, the Zegras thing was a real jubilation to the Flyers too. I got to give credit to that. I mean, at first I wasn't a big fan of the Zegras move, but how he's become a better player every game. If him and Michkov are like really good come 2026, come like when the time calls for it, when games are starting to get, when it matters the most, it's going to be fun. It's going to be sure as hell going to be like going to remind me of the first time when the Phillies got back to the postseason in 2022. But hopefully, as for the Phillies' sake, is they actually basically break the straw at the camel's back and also actually go far and actually prove us wrong that they actually can go to a conference final, and then the next year they go all out and go win it all now. But I will say this too. Oh, go ahead, Joe.
I'll tell you this, James. I put Zegras and how important Zegras is to this team.
He's been a real big part.
How do you know Klay Thompson? How do you know Draymond Green? How do you know some of those guys on the Golden State Warriors because you had a guy like Stephen Curry, like passing them the ball, making them better players, making them efficient. If Draymond Green was with the Utah Jazz, no one would have known about him. If Klay Thompson was with the Cleveland Cavaliers, no one would have known about him. But you put those three pieces together on the Golden State Warriors, and all of a sudden you have championships. All of a sudden you have chemistry. Not because Draymond's better because of all of this, not because Klay's better because of all this, but because Stephen Curry makes both of them better players. Zegras makes everyone around him a better player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Zegras to me is kind of like one part of the Splash Brothers. You know how you felt with Klay Thompson, how Stephen Curry was. But the other thing too, I love about Zegras too, he's not full of himself. You would have thought. I mean, I saw it early on when he was with the Anaheim Ducks and he was doing those Michigan type of goals. I kind of like make the video game into reality. But come to think of it now, it's just I gotta say right now he's just cool. He's just like kind of like a cool dude. He seems like a cool dude. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just that I haven't seen an exciting player like that probably since Danny Briere. Briere was like, okay, I got a player that's similar to me, but let's see how he does in the postseason. Maybe he's another Mr. Playoffs-esque, I mean, I heard good things about him. I mean, he won a World Junior Championship. I mean, him and Cam York won a World Junior Championship. So there's something about that they continue to make matters most. And I got to say right now that maybe the other thing too about Zegras too that's really been exciting too is that I think, sorry, my cat was in the way. Sorry about that. So I think the other thing too, the jubilation I love about Zegras too is that he's just getting better every game. He just continues to get better. I think he plays a better game than he was with Anaheim. I think the reason why he's playing a lot better now is because he's probably out of that. Probably it's kind of like what the Dakota Gutierrez thing that he wanted out of Philadelphia and he went to Anaheim. It's like, okay, so you got Dakota Gutierrez now, but we got Trevor Zegras, so it's like what's mine is yours, So that will be a good showing because the next week when we see each other, we'll definitely break down that game between Dakota Gutierrez return to Philadelphia and also what Trevor Zegras would do against the Ducks and his return back against his former club and all that. You got anything before we move on? Got anything before we get out of here, Joe?
Well, one final thing you brought up, and guys, I think it's not an understated fact. You just said that Cam York and Trevor Zegras were World Junior champions.
Yeah, I would think that. I think they were on the same team, if I'm not mistaken. I would be sure they were.
So here's something to think about. In the grand scheme of Philadelphia sports, especially with the teams and everything, what is the constant to make for great success is bringing in championships, meaning bringing in championship caliber players, guys that play together. I don't know, guys like from a University of Georgia, like that all won together in Georgia, and they know how to win together. They know how to win for one another. Now all of a sudden you're translating that into hockey, and you're bringing in teammates that won championship together, and they know how to play together and they know how to work together. You get that along with these very impressionable and encourageable teammates. It leads to a lot of good things. And look, I would not be surprised. And this is the final thing I'll say on this is I've seen a couple of trades in the last week or two from teams that were just trading away high-level talent. It was kind of addition by subtraction, and they've gotten better. But some of these talents that they've traded away are really high-level talent. So it's going to be an interesting thing to watch to see if the Flyers try to be like the Minnesota Wild and try to roll the dice and bring in a guy that they know that they see another team giving up on, similar to Zegras, similar to Villard, similar to Grundstrom, similar to all those guys that this team is willing to give up on and just trade away and jump on before the trade deadline. and make a better, make this roster even stronger. Maybe another champion, maybe another world junior champion somewhere. So yeah, I mean, 2026 has got a lot of potential.
I'm on you too. I just looked up it here. So it's Cam York and Trevor Zegras were key players for that USA World Junior Championship back in 2021. So I basically I totally forgot all about that. Austin, you got anything before we get out of here? Before we wrap up the show until next week?
I'm just looking forward to some hockey this week, man. It was
as the wide.
It's especially coming off of, even though, like I said earlier on, even though it was a loss against Seattle, there was a lot of positives to take from that game. So coming into play tonight, you already have a win under your belt in the last 7 days against Vancouver. Just repeat the process.
Absolutely. So yeah, basically the same thing. You know what the funny fact is too? I'm in the same boat as you, Austin. I can't wait to see what they look like this week in this Western road trip. But I got my calendar marked down on that January 6th date of Cutter Gauthier and Trevor Zegras going toe-to-toe against each other. It should be a fun matchup.
I have the Edmonton game circled.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. You know what? That actually is
I'm looking
true.
forward to that game. That's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, that actually, you know what? I might, and that's on
McDavid and Draisaitl versus Zegras and Michkov.
Oh,
and Michkov just came off a goalless drought.
Absolutely, yeah. That'll be fun.
And the Zegras with his point streak that he ended last night, it was nine game point streak. That was up there with McDavid. So you're talking about Zegras and Michkov and Draisaitl and McDavid.
Yeah.
You know, that's going to be a matchup that is going to be. Look, we're all looking forward to Cutter Gauthier kind of getting cut down in Philadelphia, but the real
Cutter,
right? No pun intended, or pun intended. But the idea of seeing like a matchup like Edmonton, we talked about it earlier in the show. This team doesn't play down to its competition, and it doesn't cower from the more talented teams. So if Edmonton thinks for a second that this team is going to just roll over and die because we're the Philadelphia Flyers and we're rebuilding, that would be a mistake to underestimate us.
You know, it's funny too. I forgot Joe Quenneville is their head coach, so I want reputation on Q now. I mean, I love Joe Quenneville. He was a great coach for the Blackhawks years. Not this time. Not this time. We're coming in for we're gonna have some sharks in the water this time.
Yeah, and even more so to play against a team where their top two guys are two of the top 5 in points, and then McDavid's also top 3 in goals.
That's right.
Like, to be able to hold those guys to minimal numbers in that game is going to be big.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, so let's wrap it up here before both of our cats start to death or something. No, my apologies to my cat. And I apologize for your cat too, buddy. So
he just wants to leave and go find his mom. I'm gonna let him out really quick.
Yeah, no worries. It's all good. We're gonna wrap it up here anyway. So that's gonna wrap it up here for this edition of This Week of Flyers Hockey. But it was a fun show, great show as always, guys. Joey, we got a jam-packed show coming up this week on Patterson Ave. Do we got anybody coming on this week, my brother?
We're still figuring that out. We might be doing it solo, but what we know is we are going to be talking about NFL playoffs, and the picture to the playoffs will become a little bit more clear as we get closer. Will the Commanders try to punch back, clap back at the Philadelphia Eagles? Will the Eagles start their starters? Will the Eagles be able to get the second seed in NFC? And most important question: will Travis Kelce make a decision about retiring?
He's killing me, Ed. You're killing me, Ed. So, yeah, I mean that's. Wait a second. We're not going to talk about the Taylor Swift shit, are we not?
No.
I was going to say, please don't do that to me, man. I swear to God.
This didn't become the Kelsey and Kelsey show. We're not doing that.
No, I got you, man. All right, so Austin, where can people see you next, my friend?
Actually, later today on twitch.tv/Hambo26, I'm actually doing my Twitch channel's 2025 year in review.
Nice.
People from the community that I have established have submitted clips from the streams over the past year to have a look at as their favorite moments. So I'm going to be doing that probably around like 7, maybe 7:30 at the latest.
Hell yeah. Good stuff.
It's gonna be such a good time.
Yeah, man.
And
I
then,
bet.
Aside from that, the Hardcore Play podcast is back this weekend. I just need to get in touch with Art and see what game he would want to do for Saturday.
Cool. Really good stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a fun week. Obviously, we got some Flyers hockey this week. We got football playoffs coming soon. Just around the corner, Phillies spring training. If I want to talk about that, obviously, and March Madness right around the corner too. So it's gonna be a fun few months or so. So we're gonna strap in and hold on tight because this is the best time of the year, hopefully. All right, so that's gonna do us for us here today. I want to say thank you to Joey and Austin once again for joining me once again. Guys, have a great New Year, everybody. Stay safe, stay well. Go down to Center City and do some. What do they call them? Joe, you're gonna kill me. What do the mummers do?
The Mummers Parade.
Oh, the strut. The strut.
The strut.
2 Street's gonna give me shit. I'm telling you. I'm not even gonna kid you. I mean, yeah, that's the only thing I'm gonna do about it too. But anyways, everyone, have a great New Year. Stay safe out there. Stay well. But for everyone behind the scenes and for everyone that made it work here, for Joey, for Austin, for myself, I'm James Scorza, and now from all of us to all of you, thanks for watching, everybody. Good night, good hockey. We'll see you back here in 2026. Go Birds.